Loneliness during awakening isn't just a lack of company. It's a rupture of everything you thought you knew, a dissolving of your previous identity, a shedding of skin so old it clings like armor, and suddenly you're bare. The people who once felt like home now feel distant. Conversations that used to comfort now feel hollow. The world you once belonged to doesn't quite recognize you anymore. And the worst part? You're not sure you recognize yourself either. This is not a mistake, it's a passage, a sacred one. But no one warns you how lonely it gets to become more awake, how isolating it feels to begin seeing with new eyes while everyone around you is still dreaming. You question your sanity, you grieve your past self, you ache for connection, yet find yourself needing more solitude than ever. Because something inside you is breaking open, and that opening is not a wound, it's a womb where new selfhood is gestating, new truth is incubating, new ways of being are being born in the dark. It is a sacred loneliness, though it doesn't feel sacred at first. It feels like confusion. It feels like emotional pain. It feels like waking up in the middle of a long sleep, only to realize the world you knew was built on illusions. Old coping mechanisms don't work here. Old roles no longer fit. The masks you wore begin to crack, not because you failed, but because you outgrew them. You're not broken, you're breaking through. Psychologically, this stage can feel disorienting. That disorientation is not a flaw, it's a signal that something real is surfacing. You're shedding the adaptations you once created to survive. The hypervigilance, the people-pleasing, the over-functioning, the perfectionism, the subtle self-abandonment, and in that rawness, you begin to feel the weight of what you carried. You may even feel guilt for outgrowing relationships. You may fear being too much or too different. You may try to explain your inner shifts to people who cannot meet you there and find yourself even more alone. But what if the loneliness is not a punishment, but a pause? A sacred cocoon where your wings are forming, a kind of spiritual solitude that invites you back to yourself before you reach for another. The spiritual path often begins not with light, but with the darkness that comes before the dawn. That darkness is not the absence of light. It is the sacred void where truth gestates, where your soul prepares to be born again. And in that void, you begin to remember you are not meant to belong to everyone. You are not meant to stay small, to stay accepted. You are not meant to contort yourself into a version that others understand. You are here to unfold. And unfolding is a lonely act at first. The falling away of old versions of you is much like autumn leaves, no longer clinging to the branch they release with grace. And though the tree looks bare, something deeper is happening. Life is retreating inward. Roots are growing, nourishment is redirected, silence becomes sacred. There is a grief in letting go, even if what you're letting go of was never truly you. But there's also relief in not having to pretend, relief in not needing to be understood by everyone, relief in finally meeting yourself in the mirror and not looking away. That's what this loneliness is, a season of root growing, of soul deepening, of truth taking shape. It is not a punishment, it is a preparation, a thinning of the veil, a sacred undoing. So if you find yourself feeling like you're falling apart, know this: you are not collapsing, you are composting, you are turning everything you were into the soil for who you're becoming. You are releasing the old structures, mental, emotional, relational, that no longer serve your becoming. You are learning to sit with yourself in your most honest form. And while it may feel like death, it is also a birth of self-compassion, a birth of boundaries, a birth of your sacred number, a birth of your soul's voice, a birth of your capacity to live with inner alignment instead of outer approval. Let the leaves fall, let the silence stretch, let the discomfort teach. Let your loneliness speak, because beneath its ache is your deepest becoming. You are not alone, you are becoming. You are not alone. You are becoming. But becoming is not a straight line. It doesn't follow a plan. It's not a moment of enlightenment. It's the slow, quiet unraveling of everything that no longer fits. You begin to question things you never thought to question. Why you work the way you do, why you smile when you're exhausted, why certain relationships feel more like performances than connections. This is not depression. It's the crumbling of borrowed identities. Psychologist Carl Jung called it individuation, the painful but necessary process of becoming who you truly are, not who the world taught you to be. And it hurts, because the persona you built wasn't fake, it was functional. It helped you survive, belong, stay safe. But now your nervous system is recalibrating. You're no longer living in reaction to external demands. You're learning to live from the inside out. According to Polyvagal Theory, this is where your body shifts from a survival state, fight, flight, freeze, towards safety and presence. But that shift isn't peaceful, it's disorienting. You feel everything, and at the same time you feel nothing. Your old life keeps moving forward, but you can't move with it. Small talk becomes unbearable. Productivity feels hollow. Even joy feels distant, because you're not sure who's supposed to be feeling it. This is the in-between, the liminal space. In anthropology, this is the threshold where transformation happens, not in who you were or who you will be, but in the stripping away. The loss of direction isn't the problem, it's the invitation. Existential psychologists like Viktor Frankl say when old meanings collapse, it's not the end, it's the start of discovering your own purpose. Not the kind you post online, the kind you feel in your breath, in your bones, in your quiet choices when no one is watching. This is not a breakdown, it's a reorganization of your inner life. But it's lonely, because most of what's dying in you still makes sense to the world around you, and what's being born in you doesn't have language yet. That's not failure, that's emergence. Start with presence. Before answers, before clarity. Presence is the foundation your new life will be built on. Notice your body. Is your jaw tense when you agree to things? Do you leave conversations feeling smaller than when you entered? These are nervous system cues. They're data, not drama. Listening to them is not self-indulgence, it's self-respect. Turn toward the inner voice you've spent years quieting. The one that said, "I'm tired," but you kept pushing. The one that whispered, "This isn't right," before you talked yourself out of it. That voice is your compass. You don't need to fix everything right now. You need to stop pretending nothing needs to change. Give yourself permission to not know, to not have a plan, to not perform healing for an audience. This work is invisible and it's valid, so yes, you might feel like a ghost in your own life right now, but what's really happening is that you're unhaunting yourself, coming back into your body, coming back into truth. Let it be slow, let it be quiet, let it be real. This isn't just your story, it's a human one. The details may differ, but the ache is shared. You are not alone, you are becoming.